Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Mark Farzetta. I apologize for the most dealer of dealer times ever. They're doing some work on the lines in my street, and apparently that was affecting the internet, and I am just able to fire up now. Anyway, my apologies. Great to have you along for the ride. I have said to myself a million times, probably between the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade to now, that Howie We Trust and Howie We Trust and Howie We Trust. But I hate – this is the one thing. As much as I love the NFL offseason, I mean, not as much as the regular season, obviously, or the season, but they always give you something to talk about. And I remember years ago thinking, why are we talking about what the Eagles are going to do at safety in March as opposed to, when training camp rolls around or something like that? Well, it's because the NFL has done a phenomenal job of making the NFL a year-round sport. It's been amazing, the job they've done. But when you lose your sack leader, now you lose your interception leader, and not only is it just some guy that accumulated a great stat, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is a very good safety. And he might not have the accolades of other safeties, but the fact that he works so well here in Philadelphia twice under two different defensive coordinators, and in his 2 years playing in Philadelphia, he's 2 for 2 in making it to the Super Bowl, and his 1 year in between of not playing in Philadelphia, he still played at a very high level in Detroit for a team that made it pretty damn far, and then he comes back and you win a Super Bowl. I hate this. I absolutely hate this move by Howie Roseman. Now, look, you got an offensive lineman, you got a former first-round pick, 3 years ago, and you get a fifth-round pick as well. But I know that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson works. I knew that Josh Sweat worked. I knew that Milton Williams worked. Turns out you weren't going to match that money with Milton Williams. You weren't going to match the money with Josh Sweat. You want to invest in the young players that you have here, whether it's Jalix Hunt, whether it's Nolan Smith. There's a lot of young guys, as you're about to hear from Chauncey Gardner-Johnson himself, that need to get paid. But, oh, my goodness gracious, you know how well he plays here in Philadelphia. And it also makes you think, oh, maybe this is what Darius Slay was talking about. Maybe Darius Slay was tipped off that they were going to be looking or were looking to move Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. There's a whole thing that you could take out of this. Number one, Eagles get a guard, which is a bad sign that they're going to bring back Mekhi Becton. Shows you negotiations might not be going so well there. The other is they lose someone can be successful here in Philadelphia and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And then third, and this is the way outside of outside chances, but as I went down this rabbit hole yesterday, I was like, are they bringing – there's a little rift there between Darius Slay and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Now CJGJ's gone. Are they going to bring back Darius Slay? They can't do that because it's still not officially official in Pittsburgh. They've given him permission to seek a trade, just like they've done with Dallas Goedert, reportedly. Could this be opening the door for a cheaper deal for Darius Slay? I would doubt that. Again, this is just me going down the rabbit hole, exploring every angle here, exploring every possibility, including talking about and thinking about Sidney Brown taking over at safety for you, whether the Eagles could draft a safety that would take over. Tristan McCollum, whether or not he would take over. All these guys, all these situations run through your head. I don't think Slay's back because I still think Slay ultimately wants to get paid, and this has been what I've been saying since jump, that his last year he wants to cash in. And I don't think the Eagles are in a position right now, if they're trading Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I don't think they're in a position to be spending big bucks on a final year of a career of a Darius Slay. And as much as I respect Darius Slay and as much as I like Darius Slay, I don't want him back. Not just because of the money, but because he's breaking down. And my opinion of him last year was that he was saving everything for the playoffs. And that wasn't my opinion during the season. My opinion during the season was he's good, but damn, he's breaking down. It's like every game he's on the sidelines, like my knee hurts, that kind of thing. And then he gets into the playoffs, and then he unleashes the fury, and that was great. But when you talk about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, obviously trash talk comes to mind, swagger comes to mind. But most importantly, above all else, there was not one moment where Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was in an Eagles uniform that you didn't feel like he was 120%. And I always go back to the second half of the Super Bowl, round 1 against Kansas City Chiefs 3 years ago. The guy that was still flying around no matter what. The guy that was making plays no matter what. The guy that was still playing like, oh, my God, the Chiefs are coming back. We better do something. The only guy that was, I love this, laying the wood on Isaiah Pacheco was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And he showed me a lot in the second half of that Super Bowl. When everything else was falling apart, my man was out there trying to make plays for this team. I will obviously, above anything else, miss that play on the field. And the thing that really sucks about it is that the last time they did this, you went down. You didn't get better. You got worse. Significantly worse. And I would have absolutely loved, if not Chauncey Gardner-Johnson being the type of presence that would have prevented that type of collapse at the end of 2 seasons ago now. I doubt it. No. No. But I still would have loved to have him in the locker room and hear what he had to say about why that was, oh, man, being set ablaze, unfortunately, in that season. But didn't work the last time they got rid of him. And look, I love Sidney Brown. I think he's going to be a very good player, but I haven't seen it yet. And the standard has been set. The Super Bowl standard has been set. And oftentimes there's only one place to go after you win a Super Bowl, which is down. It's very hard to win again. It's a repeat. And as my mind, so just the initial reaction to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, oh, Mekhi Becton's probably not back now because Green's going to be here. Kenyon Green, who's the former first-round pick of the Texans. You get the 5th-round pick. You stockpile all these other picks for next year's draft as well, and you're getting picks for this year as well. Is this, like, what kind of year are we? Are we going to be testing out more young players? Because that seems to be the direction. Now, Jalen Hurts is still your quarterback. Saquon Barkley is still your running back. You still have A.J. Brown. You still have Devontae Smith. So you should have a pretty dominant offense still. Who's helping Jalen Carter on that defensive line? Or I should say, who's Jalen Carter going to be helping on that defensive line? Jalen Hunt, Thomas Booker, Moro Ojomo, Nolan Smith, Brandon Graham? Who's you still got Zach Bond, still got Nakobe Dean. Apparently you got some confidence in Jeremiah Trout Jr. This is not going to be we're going to compete this year, but we know we won't be at a Super Bowl level. It's not going to be one of those years, is it? Yeah, that's where I ended up. And to go back to my point from earlier, which I don't even think I finished, I think I interrupted myself. But as much as I love the NFL offseason, back to that, one thing I hate about it is that every move is its own isolated judgment. It has its own isolated judgment. And that might sound fun to some people. However, I don't want to the whole idea of in Howie We Trust. All right, Milton Williams wasn't going to come back. That was mega huge kajunga money. And often we say something like, the Patriots outbid themselves in that regard. No, they did. They had to outbid the Carolina Panthers because that's who also wanted them. Josh Sweat, that was inevitable, it felt like, really from jump. Kenny Gainwell is now gone. Miles Sanders got released, so maybe there's an all-Penn State backfield waiting for some people. Jonathan Allen ended up signing with the Vikings. 3 years, $60 million. That's a good day at the office for him. You've lost a lot. This is a lot of confidence that you're going to have in your young players. But as much as I love the NFL offseason, when you go through it, you're watching the process of a house being built, and you don't have the plans. You don't have the blueprint. You're just like, oh, you're going to put that. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, okay, that makes sense. It's like you build the next floor. It's like, oh, okay, that makes more sense as to why you would. Okay. That's what it's like. You judge everything as it's happening. And, again, Mekhi Becton, would love to see him back, but I can't help but have this confidence in whoever Jeff Stoutland deems worthy of being on that offensive line. They're going to go out there and they're going to produce. It's very rarely do you ever have anybody come out there and be, Andre Dillard, not so good. Very rare. Very rare. You always try to keep the big picture in mind. And I don't know the big picture here when it comes to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson not being here. And ultimately, the reason why this stings more than Milton Williams or Josh Sweat or post June 1st releasing Darius Slay is because you've been here before. You've seen what happened without Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on this defense. And it wasn't pretty. I thought he flourished in the actual Vic Fangio defense, not a cover band version of the Vic Fangio defense. No offense, cover bands are some great ones out there. But you know what I mean? So for me, I know what he brought to the table here. I know the relationship he had with Nick Sirianni. He was always a guy in the locker room that no matter what, and I know you can say this about a lot of guys, but he was definitely one of those guys that is not afraid to be critical. And in times where you could have been critical of your head coach, he was not. Love Nick. All the time. To me, it also makes a little bit sense of a little riff, or when Darius Slay was asked about future leaders of the secondary, my take on it was he was focusing more on the younger players. Reed Blankenship's only a year younger than Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Leads me to believe that maybe Darius Slay knew that the Eagles were going to be shopping Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And it turns out he goes to the Texans. D'Amico Ryans knows a thing or two about defense, and now he's got himself a new safety. One thing I will say, I love this day and age where we can just right away hear what players have to say. Oh, before I get there, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson released this beautiful statement to the city of Philadelphia just about being on the same page as the city, loving it here, winning here, all that. And never forget BTA, of course. Never forget it. So that was nice. The other thing is, and shout out to Philly Mike. I got this from Eagles Nation, who got this from Philly Mike, who does a great job on YouTube. If you don't watch Philly Mike, watch Philly Mike. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson getting the call from the Eagles telling him he was going to be traded. Here it is.
I saw 3-1, like, man, April Fool, they damn sure got me. They playing crazy with me right now. But nah, it wasn't no love law, it wasn't no bad blood. It was a great phone call. Great phone call. It was an amazing phone call, to be all the way thorough. Great phone call. Situation is, them young guys got to get paid in Philly. Jalen Carter, Reed, Zach, all them guys got to get their money. They deserve it. You know, me getting older, so I got to understand, like, it was no bad blood. It was nothing. So, you know, shit. All I asked them was, like, between me and y'all, like I told them, I just want to go somewhere where I could play winning football. I ain't asked for a specific place. I just, feel me? This honesty, man. I just want to play winning football. Like, I ain't even saying a lot. Other than that, you know, I woke up next day and boom, there it is. So shit, we in Houston.
Just like that. Just like that, you're in Houston. Love this day and age where you just have the players' reaction just like that off of TikTok. Again, shout out to Philly Mike. So where do you go from here? Sidney Brown's a heat-seeking missile. You got to try to corral that steed because he's a wild one, man. He's a bucking bronco. You know what I mean? He's a wild horse. How do you corral him? He wants to hit. And he even said towards the end of last year, you know, he's not just here to play special teams. He got an opportunity in the amazingly dysfunctional end of 2023 where, you know, Matt Patricia took over the play calling responsibilities on the defense. Sean Desai previous to him. So has he taken that step forward? Are the Eagles going to be trusting him to take over the safety responsibilities? What's the next step? Is the future safety even on the team? Talking about taking over for Darius Slay, I've said that many times. I don't think that the guy that's going to take over for him is on the current Eagles roster. And now that Isaiah Rodgers is gone, I definitely don't think he's on the current roster. And I like Kelee Ringo. If it's Kelee Ringo next year, that means that he's certainly earned it, that Vic Fangio has seen improvement. Because here's one thing. I know you can always say in Howie We Trust, and he has certainly built the credibility over his Howie Roseman 2.0 post-Chip Kelly era tenure as a Philadelphia Eagles final decision maker on player personnel. But one thing you can say about Howie, when you talk about 2 Super Bowl championships, 3 Super Bowl appearances, doing that with 2 different quarterbacks and 2 different head coaches is pretty impressive. The depth of the 2017 team, pretty impressive. The starting lineup of this 2024-2025 team, pretty impressive. But you could also say, in Fangio we trust. And I know it's 1 year, but Vic Fangio is an incredibly honest guy. And he's also a very real guy that I feel has no agenda. Like, the biggest example of agenda would be Chip Kelly. That would probably be the most drastic, but to avoid the extreme. Vic Fangio, I think, is on the total opposite end of that spectrum, where he has no agenda. When he came in and took over for the Eagles, the defensive coordinator responsibilities, he talked about how he doesn't pick the starters. And people's minds went to, oh my God, is Howie telling Vic Fangio? Is Howie telling Vic Fangio how to name a defensive starter? Quite the opposite. And the fact that Howie Roseman brought brought Zach Bond to Vic Fangio and said, I think I got the edge rusher and special teams maven, whatever. And Vic Fangio was like, yeah, no, I think we got my inside linebacker. And then that's who they signed, and that's who they brought in, and that's who flourished. That shows you how much say Vic Fangio has on this defense. And I think, yes, he had a say in this. If not a total say, it was run by, hey, we don't think we can afford Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and some other things we want to do. Is that okay with you? Just to let you know. Yeah, I can survive without it. Probably that's the way it went. I don't think it was a get him the hell out of here type of thing. But Vic Fangio says he doesn't pick the starters. The players pick the starters. He just acknowledges it. I love that. The cream will rise to the top. And an example of that could be Devin White last year. Never rising to the top. Supposed to be a starter. And then, a week before the season, it's like, Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean's been the starter all along. All right. Is Sidney Brown ready for that next step up when it comes to the safety position? Will Vic Fangio will he acknowledge who the players have made the starter? And what he means by that, of course, is, again, the cream rises to the top. Who's the best player out there that will give this defense the best chance to be successful? And Vic Fangio being here kind of makes me feel pretty good about that. He knew exactly what Cooper G was going to be ready for. He knew exactly what Quentin Mitchell was going to be ready for. And those two flourished. Now, I'm not crediting Vic Fangio with their success, but there's no agenda of having anything against a young player going out there. No, let the veterans handle this for a while. You learn, rookie. No, he acknowledged that they were ready for that. The players let them know that they were ready for that. He was ready for that. And they put him out there. And they had amazing success. The best example of it is Zach Bond, of course. But now who's going to be the next guy to rise to the top, both at the outside corner position in place of Darius Slay, and who's going to be the guy to take over for a guy who in 2 years with the Eagles has not only been to 2 Super Bowls, winning one, but also led the team in interceptions both years? They got a plan, right? Eagles got a plan? Everything's going to be fine? Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Of all the moves so far, this one stings, man. I don't like it. And again, you isolate every single decision, every single signing as the offseason goes on, and you say, all right, well, do I like this or do I not like this? Overall, when they report to training camp, even 2 weeks before the season, even, you're thinking, all right, well, what else could be done? And that's where you really hope that it all makes sense, because right now, this is the first move with Howie this offseason in a fury of moves in the first 2 days of free agency, quote unquote, where the Eagles are a lot lighter on the defensive end of things than they were at the start of, when they walked off that field. And it also makes you go back to think about everybody in the locker room after the NFC Championship game in particular, talking about how last time, this team is only together 1 year. Every team has a 1 year deal. Landon Dickerson touched on it, and everything changes. I didn't expect this much turnover on the defensive side of the ball. But I will say, it's good that there are guys that have at least given you hope about the future. Jalix Hunt has given me hope about the future. Nolan Smith, you talk about it made me when you're wrong. Yeah, Nolan Smith made me eat a big old crow pie for how well he played. Talk about at least having someone that could do one thing great, and that's Sidney Brown. He could throw a shoulder into somebody, be a very physical safety. Again, it's going to be about corralling that ability and that intensity and channeling it to make the smart play and not always the big hit, if that's the guy that's going to take over. Keely Ringo, I'd love to see get the opportunity, but I think still the Eagles are going to go outside, and that's nothing out of the ordinary to Howie Roseman, to go outside the organization to bring in a corner. You already know you got one hell of a nickel, and you already know you got one hell of an outside guy in Quenyon. It's just a matter of who's going to be that next guy to step in. So those are the questions that still are out there. As far as Kenyon Green, for instance, shoulder injury, missed 2023, came back last year. So he's played 2 years in the NFL. Again, former first-round pick. Going to be a little bit of a not a project by any means, but to get to the Stoutland level of play, there's going to have to be some trust right there. It also shows you that it could be a battle between him and Tyler Steen, taking over at the right guard spot. Again, with this move being made, it makes you really feel like Mekhi Becton is not going to be back. One of the great things, I mean, the offense is, of course, what gets headlines and all that. But, man, this defense put down an absolute beating on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And they had a phenomenal year. And it's going to look very different next season. Ultimately, if you're telling me that you have those, if you have that nickel corner and you have that outside guy already, and you got a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in the middle of this defense in Oren Burks, gee, I did it again. Zach Baun, and Nakobe Dean coming back from injury, and you have somebody that could also fill in and hopefully play at a high level. It seems like the Eagles are a little high here on Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in letting Oren Burks go on a small deal. If you're telling me you got at least that to start off with and an experienced safety in Reed Blankenship, you're still feeling pretty good. And still Jalen Carter anchoring the interior of this defensive line. It comes down for me, as of right now, what the Eagles have. If you're telling me you're going to have all these, if you're telling me the pieces that you're going to have back without adding anything else in free agency, defensively speaking, and of course I'm talking about safety, talking about corner. If you're telling me all that, then what's got to change in the upcoming season? And for me, it goes back to Jordan Davis. If Jordan Davis can stay on the field, and I'm not even talking about just be healthy. I'm just talking about being able to play 3 downs, not play 33% of the snaps, but get that up to about 40, 44, 45. Then we're talking about a much different defensive line where we're not as reliant on somebody as Milton Williams, for instance. And that will allow more time to grow for guys like Ajomo, guys like Thomas Booker IV. Like, it'll allow those guys to be able to grow into their own. And I think the Eagles at least have a good coaching staff in place that will allow that to happen. And look, the draft is still on its way. So, again, you're judging all these moves in the offseason. Judging all these moves in the offseason as they happen without seeing the whole big picture, the finished plans. But this one, unfortunately, certainly stings. Let me know how you guys feel about it, of course, in the comment section. I think everyone's mind yesterday just went to, what happened the last time this happened? When you let him go? Yeah. And then you brought him back, and amazing. Oh, my God, look, we're in the Super Bowl again. Oh, my God, no way. Our leading sacker is gone. Our leading interception guy is gone. The guy that's been here in 2 Super Bowls in the 2 years he's been here is gone. What the hell happened? That's how It feels. I want to respond to something here outside the world of football. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I've said many times, 76ers fans I have a soft spot in my heart for the 76ers fans in Philadelphia and across the world. Because the process really had people buy into this whole thing about starting over, and I believe it was the right thing to do at the time. I still believe it was the right thing to do. I wish I could have seen through a little bit more than the NBA getting involved and telling, hey, the Josh Harris group and all that stuff, bring in the Colangelos and all that. But I have a soft spot when people take a shot in one way or another at the Sixers fan base, because they really believed. They invested in a terrible product, thinking that, hey, down the line, this is going to pay off, and we're going to buy into this. Now, unfortunately, it had a lot of entitlement with the players drafted, whether it was Joel Embiid and, to the worst degree, Ben Simmons. And it didn't pan out. It didn't work. But Sixers fans bought in. The fan base got into it during a 10-win season. It was insane. It was good for them. So anytime somebody takes any type of shot at the 76ers fans, I get in my feels a little bit. In all honesty, it's not even about me, because I wasn't a full-blown Hinkyite. I believed in, rebuild, start over, not just a tank, but a whole process. Let's go. I remember my deadline was 3 years. Show me something in 3 years. And in 3 years, you actually got to see Joel Embiid play at a pretty high level. And then he was out with the meniscus, but by then it was Brian Colangelo. So I guess it was 4 years, 3.5 years, 4 years. So when Daryl Morey does an interview and says that the only thing that drives Sixers fans, and maybe it was a little tongue-in-cheek, but when he said the only thing that seems to drive Sixers fans is anger, this might be playing right into Daryl Morey's description, but that pissed me off. Because anger is not what drives Sixers fans. There's two things that really drive, I think, really any fan base, but particularly this Sixers fan base. Number one is winning. That's what drives Sixers fans. And when you don't win, especially after the emotional and, in many cases, financial investment that Sixers fans have made in this team over the last decade, you haven't done a lot of winning, and that pisses us off. You haven't made it out of the second round. You haven't played in a conference championship. It's not the anger that we look forward to. It's the winning that we look forward to. And when you don't win, which is the overall driving factor for everything, it kind of makes us angry. When you extend your center, an MVP caliber player, 4 years, where he just played in the Olympics and he's not going to be ready for the upcoming season all of a sudden, but he's already signed to a contract extension, that's concerning. When you bring in a guy like James Harden and that doesn't work out, that's kind of infuriating. When you bring in Paul George and the early goings of this deal does not look good, that's infuriating. It's not the anger that drives us. It's the lack of winning that drives us to anger. Now, winning is the number one thing that drives, I think, any fan base but particularly about the Sixers fans. Keeping it about the Sixers fans, you know what the second thing is that drives Sixers fans? Hope. Winning drives, and in the passenger seat is hope. And that's what the whole process was about. We're not going to win now. We're not going to win a championship now. Andre Iguodala is not leading this team to the NBA title, So let's break it down and build it back up. Love Drew Holiday. He was the first official victim of the process. He's only won 2 NBA titles now. Cool. But it gave us hope when they traded Drew Holiday all those years ago to think about what they could build. And to hear a guy not understand that also has his fingers on the buttons of what drives our emotions, which is the lack of winning. And I love Tyrese Maxey, but is Tyrese Maxey going to lead Jared McCain and Quentin Grimes and Adem Bona for the next decade in Philadelphia? I don't know. Is that the hope that we have right now? And then on top of it, is the hope also trusting in Daryl Morey to bring in the right players to build around Tyrese Maxey or use a guy like Jared McCain and use a guy like Quentin Grimes as role players to Maxey? You know, the Robins to the Batman that could be Tyrese Maxey. Does that give you hope that Daryl Morey's going to do that? Doesn't give me hope. It certainly doesn't feel like a lot of wins. So if I don't have a lot of hope and I don't see a lot of wins in the Sixers' near future, and the guy that can play at an MVP level, you can never trust to be healthy, and this is the end of his career, I'm not going to see a lot of winning. So if I don't have a lot of winning and I don't have hope, I'm going to be pretty pissed off. So instead of saying, Daryl Morey, that anger drives Sixers fans, it's not that. It's winning and it's hope. And when you don't give us either of those two things, we can be pretty pissed off. We can be downright ornery. But that's not what drives us. You have to think about what makes us angry. And it's not winning and it's not having hope. Those are the two things that drive us to anger. And when he said, I first listened to it, I was like, that's a little tongue-in-cheek, maybe. And I was like, no, I think he's kind of serious. Yeah, we can get angry. We're not afraid to voice our frustrations. Not even a little bit. But that's not our favorite thing. It's not like we sit around just waiting to be angry. And let's also go back to an age-old adage here, okay? If it bleeds, it leads. There's a reason why, puppies aren't the lead story on the news. It's always like shooting, car accident, feud. And then at the end of the thing, it's just like, and some toddlers were able to hold kittens today. Isn't that amazing? Okay, thanks. See you tomorrow night, everybody. It's my newscaster voice, by the way. By the way, Sixers are at it tonight against the Toronto Raptors. Sixers fell out of the worst 6 teams in the NBA last night because the Nets lost. But now they can handle their own business against the Raptors. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that one. Yay! Before I go into the chat, checking some... the Flyers got spanked last night by the Ottawa Senators as well. Claude Giroux, good to see you. A couple of the free agency deals... Excuse me. Jonathan Allen, I mentioned 3 years, $60 million to the Vikings. Javon Holland, 3 years, $45.3 million to the Giants. Justin Reed goes from the Chiefs to the Saints, a safety, 3 years, $31.5 million. I mentioned Kenny Gainwell. I'd love to see Miles Sanders back in Philadelphia. I like Miles Sanders. I don't know what he's got left in the tank, but if he could just be a number 2 guy to Saquon, I know the Penn Staters will be losing their minds. So I thought Kenny Gainwell had a great year. For his role, he had a phenomenal year. Really like Kenny Gainwell. Let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code FARS. You get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show, whatever the case might be. Game Time app has you covered. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code FARS. You get $20 off your first purchase. And don't forget about Game Time Picks. You know what Game Time Picks does? That filters out all the fluff. So you get right down to it, the best seats at the best prices on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. How about Brett's amazing inventory at Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Check out Brett's amazing inventory at SkyMotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine, fine morning. April, good morning. Definitely bummed about CJGJ, as am I. Wine Niners, Wine, Farsi, Spags was on with Anthony. That's nice. That's nice. Good. On PHLY. James Jones, J, the 12 is here. Finally, let's go, baby. There we go. Sean Kilwright, hello. Sean Gillespie, what's going on? Definitely missing CJGJ. Thank you for that. Buddy Christ, what's going on, Buddy Christ? Good morning. Philly season almost underway. Can't wait. They put up 18 runs yesterday, the Phils. Holy Stromboli. Howie We Trust. Danny Prado, hello. Ravens is where legendary wide receivers go to die. Des Bryant, says Sean Kilrain. Deshaun Jackson, Steve Smith Sr., Odell Beckham, Jeremy Maclin, DeAndre Hopkins now. Yeah. Wow. Anquan Bolden. Damn. Sean Gillespie, defense will hopefully be just as good or better with Fangio picking more new players. Cross my fingers. Lost a lot of pixels? Pixies? Oh, picks? What are we saying here? Thank you. Slade did know CJGJ was gone. It certainly seems like it. Oh, no. Oh, no, Jim. Jim West for VTech. I don't know. The only thing this move tells me is if we bring Becton back, Dickerson's knee is really bad. Okay, so there's one more step we have to go before we get to that real dark place. Bring Becton back means Dickerson's knee is bad. Oh, that is scary. Usually I go to the deepest, darkest recesses of my brain. But you have taken another step. I'll wait to get there. Well. Go ahead and say hi. Say hi. Hi. There you go. Are you going to miss Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? He was a big reason of the parade you went to. He was a big part of that. I don't know that Howie. I don't know what Howie about to do. Not same old Howie. I think he's I don't know. I think he's just clearing money. James J. I don't know what Howie does. Not the same Howie. James, I don't know what the same Howie. What is going on here? I didn't work last time because coach. Or it didn't work last time because of coaching, not letting CJGJ go. Jermaine, I agree with that. Jermaine Lightbringer, hello. We got to remember we are a championship organization. This is what we do. We set a market and resurrection players. All right. You should trust what he got. All right. I'm trusting for the most part. Tom from Alabama. Mark, what the hell are you talking about? You are the blueprint. How you doing? What's up, Tom? Nice to see you, man. Championship, I disagree. We got to win. Okay. Y'all should have been surpassed us? What? What is happening? Shredding cap space. And in the clip I played for you, thanks again to Philly Mike for finding that. That is all about what the Eagles are doing right now. Why are you rubbing my bald head? Okay. Thank you. Damn, CJGJ is going to flourish in Houston. Your fans say all the bad stuff yesterday? Okay. Oh, Justin Simmons is going. I saw that. I don't know how much to buy into it. I know that's been a rumor for quite some time. Yeah, for the people just joining us again, Philly Mike found this, and here he is. Here is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson reacting. Thought it was a prank originally.
I saw 3-1. I'm like, man, April Fool. They damn sure got me. They playing crazy with me right now. But no, it wasn't no love law. It wasn't no bad blood. It was a great phone call. Great phone call. It was an amazing phone call to be all the way thorough. Great phone call. Situation is them young guys got to get paid in Philly. Jalen Carter, Reed, Zach, all them guys got to get their money. They deserve it. You know, me getting older, so I got to understand, like, it was no bad blood. It was nothing. So, you know, shit. All I asked them was, like, between me and y'all, like I told them, I just want to go somewhere where I could play winning football. I ain't asked for a specific place. I just, feel me? This honesty, man. I just want to play winning football. Like, I ain't even saying a lot. Other than that, You know, I woke up next day and boom, there it is. So shit, we in Houston.
Just like that. We're in Houston. Boom. Yeah. I love this day and age. You can just get that reaction right away from a player. Thinking it was a prank. It wasn't. It's real. Not here anymore, unfortunately. Why Niners want Gainwell better than Sanders, and I'm a Penn State alum. Oh, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. I don't think Miles Sanders is coming back. I think they're going to try to go younger. And yeah, that's it. I don't think they're going to try to go in the Wayback Machine. Stephen J. Patton, hello. Don't like this trade. They traded Swagger away. Don't get it. Don't understand. Look, the only way to sum it up, and V, I think you need the same thing that I need here. What is Howie doing? Howie is creating cap. That's what he's doing. He's freeing up space, saving money. Sooner. You know what I'd love to see? Not that I think he'll get to the level, but just in terms of overall improvement, I think a lot of this is going to come down to Jordan Davis. And if he can take that next step forward. I thought for the most part he played well last year. He didn't play great. He didn't take a huge step forward. Took a step backward as far as percentage of snaps went. So I think Vic Fangio is going to be demanding a little bit more of him in the upcoming season. Everyone's saying, little toots. Let your daughter take over the show. Mischievous little toots. Little toots. What's up, Sean? How you doing? Wait, what? Needs to put that negativity on mute. Damn. Are you talking about me? What are you talking about? Brad, I'm going to miss that MFer. Yep, we're all going to miss him. We're all going to miss him. Dino, what's going on? Or D1, no. Plenty of good fifth-round running backs to replace Gainwell. Shipley is better than you think. I like Will Shipley a lot. That's where they could also go. They could also just go in-house with Will Shipley, of course. Certainly. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Let's get to the Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. I will definitely be watching and waiting with bated breath to see if anything pops with Mekhi Becton today. That's what I'm going to be waiting for. Also, I don't know when the press conferences are scheduled for Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, but I would imagine after the deals become officially official, they'll have some press conferences. I look forward to seeing or hearing what they have to say about their time in Philadelphia. By the way, Kenny Gainwell does go to the Steelers. I don't think I mentioned that. I said he's gone, but he's to the Steelers. Also look forward to seeing what happens today. I would say I don't look forward to it because I'm terrified of who could be on the chopping block next. If you're really hell-bent on freeing up cap space, what direction could the Eagles be going and all that? Sixers are back at it tonight. I think it's a 7:30 tip-off tonight against the Toronto Raptors as they look to slide back into one of the worst 6 teams in the NBA. The Raptors already made announcements that they're going to be resting a hell of a lot of guys against the Sixers tonight. Whoopity-doo. That game's in Toronto at 7:30. I, of course, will have you on the post-cast on Locked On Sports Philadelphia. So make sure you guys like and subscribe over there as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. We all wait now to see what the next move is with Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles. Will there be another significant trade? Will there be another release? That I doubt. I feel like that news would already come out. Will it become officially official yet? Will Darius Slay post anything about him officially going to Pittsburgh? These are the questions we will have as the day goes on today. Also, baseball-wise, how about this for spring training? The game will be on TV today after the Phillies beat the Boston Red Sox 18-8. The game today, I believe, will have – tomorrow. Not today. Tomorrow. We'll have Cole Hamels in the booth on NBC Sports Philadelphia. So we'll get to watch the Phillies and Braves in Clearwater, Florida with Cole Hamels in the booth. I feel like that's a Joe Conklin bit. If it's not, it should be. It should be. So I look forward to hearing Cole in the booth tomorrow with the Phillies in spring training. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzetta Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Thanks for being along for the ride. Catch you guys tomorrow. Thanks.